People ask me all the time, what is mailbox money? Mailbox money is an old term. Sorry, I'm old. But what it is when we used to have rental properties, people used to put a check in the mail and literally mail the rent to us. That's what mailbox money is. Today, it's all electronic, but it's basically passive income. It's the cash flow that you make off of the portfolio or off of the houses that you own on a monthly basis. So mailbox money is what I live on. That's what I believe in. I no longer have to do that 9-to-5 grind. I got in real estate back in 1993. I bought my first triplex. With that, I was a landlord. From there, we continued building that portfolio up with my wife and I. Then I turned around and I partnered with my realtor, which was actually my mentor, and we built up to another 120 some properties, all being a landlord. Guys, it was a lot of work. We were constantly doing maintenance. We constantly had turnover. We were constantly working on these apartments for people. I wanted to figure out a way so I didn't have to be the landlord anymore. And I figured that out because in that journey, I also ended up being in the assisted living business. At one point in time, you could actually buy assisted living homes using residential lending. You couldn't use commercial. Then at that, residential lending went away. So now you had to have private money. So I started buying up assisted living homes using lease with options. We reverse engineered that, and I started turning all of our rental properties into lease options. So I no longer had to be a landlord. Guys, let's teach you how to do that. Let's talk a little bit about being a landlord versus what we do with lease options. Landlords, I've been there. At one point in time, we had 120 some rentals right here in Mesa, Arizona. The biggest problem with being a landlord is the calls you get in the middle of the night because they got locked out or their toilets backed up or the window got broke, whatever that might be. With what we do, you don't have any of that. At the same time, being a landlord, you have a lot of turnover. When I owned the rentals here in town, a lot of them were fourplexes. They would turn over about every 6 to 9 months, sometimes every year because they were 1-year leases, but sometimes they just up and vanish on you. The problem with that is now you gotta go do what they call a turn, where you go in, you gotta clean up the entire place. Sometimes these people leave these places terrible with all their trash, their food in the refrigerator, it starts stinking, that kind of thing. You don't want to do that as a landlord. The other thing is you have to deal with property management, unless you're doing it yourself. You have to deal with vacancies. You have to deal with the turnover we just talked about. You have to deal with the standard maintenance and as well as capital improvements, which is your hot water heaters, your ACs, your roofs, things like that. The nice thing about what we do, doing lease options, we have a tenant buyer. They're not tenants, but they're tenant buyers. We don't have any turnover because we do a 5-year lease with them. At the same time, they are taking care of all the maintenance because they are becoming owners of that house. So they treat it just like it's their own. So you don't have those late night calls about lockouts and broken windows and backed up toilets because they take care of all that. You're not responsible. At the same time, we don't even have a property manager. My assistant has to watch the payments come in, the lease payments, but that's about all that we do because we don't have any maintenance side of it. If there are standard maintenance or even capital improvements, let's say a hot water heater goes out, the tenant buyer replaces that. They don't. So which would you rather be, a landlord or deal with lease options like we do? If you're tired of being a landlord, check out the course that we have. We teach you from A to Z how to find the properties, how to talk to the sellers, the contracts to use to actually buy the properties, how to market them to new tenant buyers on a lease with an option, and ultimately turn it into seller financing. And that's really where you want to be. The banks make a lot of money. Why can't you? Our course teaches you from A to Z, and it has all the paperwork you need to take care of all that. You have personal access to me to help you do deals. Guys, click the link below. Let's get you signed up for the course.